Blood pooled on the marble floor of Moretti Estate as FBI agents swarmed through shattered French doors, their boots crunching on crystal from the fallen chandelier. Isabella Moretti stood in the center of the chaos, hands zip-tied behind her back, her white Valentino blouse soaked crimson. But she wasn't looking at the agents screaming commands or the helicopters circling overhead. She was staring at the young woman pushing through the crowd of law enforcement, the shy waitress from Castello Rosso, who was supposed to be halfway to Canada by now, who was supposed to be safe, who was supposed to survive, even if Isabella didn't. Their eyes met across the destruction, and Isabella's hands moved despite the restraints, signing a single desperate question. "What did you do?" The waitress, Lila, signed back with trembling hands, "I came back for you." That's when the FBI agent stepped forward and asked the question that would change everything. "Ma'am, can you confirm your identity? Are you Elena Caruso, the witness we've been searching for?" And that moment, Lila, who had spent 12 years hiding in plain sight, was forced to make a decision that would either save them both or destroy them. Her mouth moved and her head nodded in response. "Yes, I'm the girl who died in the fire, and I remember everything." The agent's radio exploded with chatter. Within seconds, Lila was surrounded by federal marshals, all asking questions at once, but she kept her eyes locked on Isabella, who was signing frantically through the restraints. "You were supposed to run. You were supposed to live." Lila signed back, tears streaming down her face. "You don't get to be the only hero. We're in this together." But to understand how a shy waitress became the key to toppling a mafia empire, how a woman who never spoke became the most dangerous person in the room, we need to go back 3 days. Back to the moment when Lila poured wine with shaking hands and Isabella signed the words that shattered 12 years of carefully constructed lies. 3 days earlier, Castello Rosso hummed with nervous energy. The upscale Italian restaurant, owned by a crime family everyone knew but no one discussed, sparkled with crystal chandeliers that cast shadows feeling more like warnings than light. Lila had been working there for 3 months, always keeping her head down, always invisible. But tonight, invisibility wouldn't save her. She carried a bottle of Barolo to the private table at the back, reserved for Isabella Moretti. Everyone in the city knew her name, the stepmother of Lorenzo Moretti, the man who controlled everything from the docks to the politicians. She never smiled, never spoke unless necessary, and she certainly never looked twice at waitresses. Lila's heart hammered as she approached. The men around the table, thick-necked and cold-eyed, watched her like wolves, assessing prey. She poured wine into the first glass, careful not to let her hand shake too visibly. She moved to Isabella's glass, keeping her gaze fixed on the burgundy liquid flowing from the bottle. Then Isabella's hand moved, not to stop her, not to dismiss her, to sign. Slowly, deliberately, Isabella's fingers formed words in American Sign Language, her dark eyes locked onto Lila's face. "Do you remember me?" The bottle slipped. Lila caught it just before it shattered, wine splashing onto the white tablecloth like blood. Her breath caught in her throat. The room seemed to tilt sideways. Around the table, the men tensed, hands moving toward concealed weapons. No one else understood what had just been said, but they understood danger when they felt it. Lila's hands moved before her mind could stop them, signing back with movements she hadn't used in years, clumsy and desperate. "I thought you were dead." Isabella's composed mask cracked for just a second. Something flickered across her face, something that looked like pain, like a wound that had never healed. The guard closest to Isabella reached for his gun, sensing the shift in the air, the unspoken conversation that excluded everyone but these two women. Isabella raised one finger, just one, a simple gesture, but every armed man in that room froze. She flicked her wrist toward the door. The guards exchanged confused glances, but they obeyed. They always obeyed Isabella. Within seconds, the private room emptied, leaving only Isabella at the table and Lila standing there with a wine bottle that suddenly felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. The silence stretched between them like 12 years of absence, of questions, of betrayal and survival. Isabella signed again, her movements urgent now, almost frantic. "You cannot stay here. They are watching you." Lila's hands shook as she signed back. "Who?" Before Isabella could answer, the door opened. Lorenzo Moretti entered like winter itself, calm and deadly. He was younger than his reputation suggested, maybe 35, with sharp features and eyes that calculated everything. He noticed the empty room immediately, noticed his stepmother's rigid posture, noticed the waitress standing too close, hands frozen mid-air. He didn't know sign language, but he knew secrets when he saw them. "Isabella," he said smoothly, his Italian accent turning her name into something beautiful and threatening. "You dismissed my men. That's unusual." Isabella's face became stone again. She picked up her wine glass, took a deliberate sip, and said nothing. She never explained herself, not to anyone. Lorenzo's gaze shifted to Lila. She felt it like a physical touch, invasive and calculating. "And you are?" Lila's voice came out smaller than she wanted. "Just a waitress, sir." "Just a waitress," he repeated, tasting the words. "Who makes my stepmother clear a room?" He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Interesting." He circled the table slowly, his expensive shoes silent on the carpet. "You know what I find fascinating about silent conversations? They're always about secrets, and secrets in my world tend to be expensive." Isabella finally opened up. She wrote on a paper, her usual way of communicating. "The girl reminded me of someone. Nothing more." "Someone," Lorenzo read, and stopped behind Lila's chair. She could feel his presence like a blade at her back. "Who?" "A dead child I once failed to save," Isabella wrote again. Suspicion hung in the air as Lorenzo studied his stepmother's face, looking for the lie, but Isabella's expression remained perfectly neutral. She had mastered the art of cloning her emotions. "Then you won't mind if I verify that," Lorenzo said. He pulled out his phone and held it up, recording Lila's face, then her hands. "Just a precaution." He left without another word, but Lila knew she'd been marked, noticed. In this world, being noticed meant being in danger. That night, as Lila untied her apron in the restaurant's cramped break room, something fell out. An envelope, cream-colored and heavy. Her hands shook as she opened it. Inside, a key, a burner phone, and a note written in handwriting that looked like it had been written while someone's hand was shaking. "If he learns who you are, you won't live long enough to forgive me." Lila turned the note over. On the back, written in the same shaky script, was a name she hadn't heard in 12 years. A name she'd been told to forget, to bury with her mother in that fire that took everything. Her birth name, Elena Caruso, the name of a dead girl. The name Lorenzo Moretti had been searching for because Elena Caruso was the only witness to a murder that could destroy his entire empire. Lila's legs nearly gave out. She gripped the counter, breathing hard, memories flooding back in fragments. Fire, screaming, her mother's face. And before that, 3 days before the fire, a man in an expensive suit came to their small house, his voice calm as he told her mother that talking to federal prosecutors was a death sentence. She remembered his face. Vincent Moretti, Lorenzo's father. She remembered everything. Lila's apartment was in a neighborhood where sirens were lullabies and everyone minded their own business because curiosity was dangerous. She climbed 3 flights of stairs, fumbled with her keys, and pushed open her door. The lights were already on. Strange. She navigated through the little passage that led to the kitchen and bathroom. Something caught her attention, a smell of tobacco. Her heartbeat rose as she walked to her kitchen in silence. The he was Lorenzo Moretti sitting on her tiny kitchen table, looking absurdly out of place in his expensive suit. He had made himself coffee. Her coffee. The casual intimacy of it made her skin crawl. "You know," he said conversationally, "my stepmother hasn't said a thing all evening. Not one word. She came home, went to her room, and locked the door." He sipped the coffee, grimaced slightly. "You wouldn't know why, would you?" Lila's mind raced. She could run, but he'd catch her. She could scream, but no one would come. She could lie, but he'd know. So instead, she raised her hands and began to sign, praying he wouldn't understand, praying she could bluff her way through this. She signed slowly, her movements careful. "She mistook me for someone from her past. I look like someone she used to know." Lorenzo watched her hands with the focus of a predator. Then he spat out the coffee in his mouth. "Fucking talk to me. One more sign from you and I'll have your head on a spike." Lila shivered. Her blood ran cold. If she used words, he would find out everything. The best she could do was confuse him with sign language. Worse, he'd have proof that she and Isabella could communicate in a language no one else in his organization understood. "You know what's funny?" Lorenzo said, pocketing his phone. "My stepmother has a habit of protecting things that don't belong to her. Stray cats, bleeding hearts, lost causes." He stood, buttoning his jacket. "I wonder which one you are." He walked to the door, then paused. "I've been searching for someone for 5 years. A ghost, really. A little girl who died in a fire, but whose body my father never quite believed was hers. He spent his last days obsessing over it, convinced she was alive somewhere, convinced she could destroy everything we built." Lila's hands clenched at the hem of her dress. Lorenzo turned to look at her fully. "Elena Caruso, 8 years old when she died, or didn't die. My father could never prove it either way. But he always said, if she's alive, she'll surface eventually. Ghosts always do." "I don't know who that is," Lila whispered. "No?" Lorenzo smiled. "Then why does my stepmother look at you like you're already dead?" Lila swallowed hard. He turned around and left without another word. When he left, Lila collapsed against the door, her whole body shaking. She pulled out the burner phone Isabella had given her. There was one file on it, buried in the gallery. A video, time-stamped 12 years ago. She pressed play. The video was grainy, clearly recorded in secret. A younger Isabella appeared on screen, her face bruised, one eye swollen shut. She was signing frantically, tears streaming down her face. "If anyone finds this, if Elena finds this, she needs to know the truth." Lila's breath caught. Elena, her real name. Isabella continued signing, her movements desperate. The fire at the Caruso house wasn't an accident. Vincent Moretti ordered it. Lorenzo's father. Maria Caruso witnessed a murder, a federal prosecutor's execution, and Vincent couldn't risk her testifying. He sent men to kill everyone in that house, including 8-year-old Eleanor. The video shook as Isabella adjusted the camera. I was Vincent's mistress then. I had access to his plans. I couldn't stop the fire, but I got there first. I pulled Elena out through a back window before the hitmen arrived. Maria was already dead, smoke inhalation. I took Elena to a hospital 3 cities away, told them she was my daughter from a previous marriage who lost her hearing in an accident. Isabella's signing became more frantic. I switched bodies at the morgue. I had connections, money, and fear. The dental records were altered. The DNA samples were contaminated. As far as the world knows, Elena Caruso died in that fire with her mother. But she didn't. She survived. And I placed her with a family who would keep her safe, keep her hidden, and train her to act partially deaf and dumb so she could survive from people who ask questions. The video was ending. Isabella looked directly at the camera, her expression breaking. Eleanor, if you're watching this, run. Don't trust me. Don't come looking for me. I chose this life, and it will destroy you too. But know this, I loved you like you were mine. And I'm sorry I couldn't be braver 12 years ago. I'm sorry I chose survival over saving you completely. Run, Eleanor, and this time, don't look back. The screen went black. Lila sat in the darkness of her apartment, tears streaming down her face as 12 years of confusion suddenly crystallized into terrible clarity. The foster families who never asked about her past. The social workers who seemed almost relieved she couldn't hear. They'd make fun of her. Meanwhile, the whole time she overheard their conversations. The way doors always closed when she entered rooms. She wasn't just a survivor. She was evidence. If you're captivated by Lila's story and want to see what happens next, please subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. Your support means everything to us. Drop a comment telling us what you think Isabella should do next, and don't forget to like this video. Now, let's see how this dangerous game unfolds. The next day, Lorenzo summoned Isabella to Moretti Estate for a private dinner. The invitation wasn't optional. The estate sat on 15 acres outside the city, surrounded by walls that looked decorative but were reinforced steel. Isabella arrived in her black Mercedes, alone, knowing this might be the last time she'd leave this place alive. She always knew that Lorenzo had been seeking her death. He just didn't have the right excuse to put a bullet in her head. Lorenzo waited for her in the dining room, a table set for 2, with enough formality to feel like a funeral. He stood as she entered, ever the gentleman, ever the predator pretending at civilization. Isabella, thank you for joining me. No reaction. She never listened to his pretense. They sat. Servers brought course after course. Food neither of them touched. The silence between them was a battle, each waiting for the other to break first. Isabella had her booklets and pen, but no action. Lorenzo stared, waiting for something, anything, but her eyes glued to his, and there was no sign of fear in them. Finally, Lorenzo placed his phone on the table between them. I had someone translate that waitress's signature. Want to know what she said? Isabella's face remained impassive, but her hands tightened on her wine glass. Lorenzo continued. She said you mistook her for someone from your past, someone she resembles. He leaned forward. The problem is, you never mistake anyone for anyone else. Your memory is photographic. It's what makes you dangerous. He tapped his phone, and Lila's signing played on loop, her hands moving in the universal language Lorenzo had never bothered to learn because he never imagined it would matter. So either this waitress is lying or you two are hiding something together. And given that you cleared an armed room to have a private conversation with her, I'm inclined to believe the latter, Isabella wrote. Her grip was firm against the pen. This time, her fear gave out. And Lorenzo, he saw it, and a smile etched at her corner of his lips. A frightened girl reminded me of a dead child I once tried to save. That's all, Lorenzo read and chuckled. He didn't believe. Then you won't mind if she disappears? The words hung in the air like a blade. Isabella's composure cracked for just a fraction of a second, but Lorenzo saw it. He sees everything. That's what I thought, he said softly. You know, I've been searching for Elena Caruso for 5 years. My father's dying wish was that I find her and finish what the fire started. A loose end, he called her. The only witness to Prosecutor Davidson's murder. He stood, circling Isabella like a shark. The problem is, Elena Caruso died in that fire. Dental records confirmed it. DNA confirmed it. But my father never believed it. He said you were acting strange around that time, secretive, distant. You stopped being his lover, started being his liability. And my father never trusted you after that. Isabella remained seated, but every muscle in her body was coiled for violence. If I find out you've been hiding her, Lorenzo said, his voice dropping to a whisper, I'll kill you both, slowly, painfully, and I'll make sure you watch her die first. Then I'll make you watch me erase every trace that she ever existed. Again, that night, Isabella did something she'd sworn she'd never do. She left the estate without guards, without permission, and drove to the address she'd memorized but never visited. Lila's apartment. She knocked softly. The door opened a crack, then fully when Lila saw who it was. They stood facing each other, 12 years of silence between them. Isabella's hands moved first, signing with a desperation Lila had never seen. Run. Tonight. Don't look back. Don't forgive me. Just survive. Lila signed back, tears streaming down her face. You already chose me once. I won't let you die for me again. You don't understand, Isabella signed frantically. Lorenzo knows. He just needs to put it all together and we're done. He doesn't have proof yet, but he will. And when he does, we both die. Then we run together. Isabella's hands froze. Then she signed, slowly, painfully. I can't. I have responsibilities, debts, people who depend on my protection within the organization. If I run, he'll know for certain, and he'll kill everyone I've ever protected. There are 3 other women like you. Women I've hidden over the years, women who would die if I disappeared. Lila's eyes widened. 3 others? An accountant who witnessed money laundering, a nurse who treated a wounded rival, a journalist who wrote the wrong story. All dead on paper, all alive because I made them ghosts. Isabella's signing became urgent again. But if you stay, if Lorenzo connects you to me, all of them die anyway. You have to go. Use the key I gave you. There's a storage unit with everything you need. New identity, money, a life in Canada. Lila grabbed Isabella's hands, stopping her signing. What else is in that storage unit? Isabella's face crumpled. Everything. Recordings, documents, proof of every murder, every bribe, every crime, 15 years of insurance, my leverage, my survival. And if I take it to the security agencies, Lila signed back, They'll come for you with everything they have. You'll never stop running for the rest of your life. You'll never be safe, and I'll be dead within the hour. But Lorenzo would fall. Eleanor, my name is Lila now, she said, her voice steady despite her terror. And you gave me a second name, a second life. But that means I get to choose what I do with it. You don't get to decide for me anymore. Isabella's composure finally broke. She pulled Lila into a fierce embrace, signing against her shoulder. I saved you so you could live, not so you could become a martyr. You saved me so I could be free, Lila signed back. And I'm choosing to fight. They held each other then. Two women who'd survived different hells, connected by a moment of mercy 12 years ago that had defined both their lives. When Isabella left, she didn't look back, but she signed one last thing at the door. If you're going to fight, do it smart. There's a man, a deaf man, former hitman, the only person I trust. His number is on the phone under Marco. Tell him I sent you. He'll help you survive what comes next. Lila packed one bag. The key felt heavy in her pocket as she locked her apartment for the last time and headed for the storage facility near the highway. The storage unit was in one of those anonymous places where people hid the debris of their lives. Lila used the key on Unit 247. Inside was a metal filing cabinet, a laptop, and a go bag with $50,000 in cash, 3 fake passports, and a loaded Glock. Lila opened the laptop. Files upon files, videos, audio recordings, ledgers, everything Isabella had collected over 15 years of being underestimated, of being dismissed as just a woman in a man's world. She was about to close it when she noticed a file marked with today's date. She clicked it. Isabella appeared on screen, signing. This video had been recorded earlier, that day, hours ago. Eleanor, if you're seeing this, I'm either dead or in custody. Lorenzo moved faster than I expected. There's a rat in his organization, someone feeding information to the FBI. They're planning a raid tonight on the estate. Lorenzo knows. He's preparing a trap. Isabella's expression hardened. I'm going to make sure that raid succeeds. I'm going to call the FBI myself and confirm everything. I'm going to testify. All of it. Every murder, every crime, every dirty secret. But I need you to stay hidden. Don't come back for me. Don't try to save me. Just live. That's all I ever wanted for you. Take the money. Take the passports. Disappear into the life I couldn't give you 12 years ago. Be happy, Eleanor. Be free. And forget about the woman who was too much of a coward to save you completely the first time. The video ended. Lila stared at the screen, her mind racing. Isabella was going to sacrifice everything. Her freedom, her life, possibly her soul, to take Lorenzo down and keep Lila safe. She couldn't let that happen. Lila pulled out the burner phone and dialed the only number programmed into it. Isabella answered on the first ring, but no sound. Lila's voice was steady despite her terror. I'm not 8 years old anymore. You can't just hide me away. If you're going to testify, I'm testifying with you. No response. I'm the witness they actually want, the daughter of the one who saw Prosecutor Davidson killed. I was 8, but I remember. I remember everything. I can identify Vincent Moretti as the one who gave the order because he came to our house 3 days before the fire to threaten my mother. I remember his ring, the scar on his hand, the way he smelled like expensive cigars. I can put him at the scene, Lila cried out heavily. Still silence on the line. I know you can hear me. I don't expect you to respond. Just know, my name is Lila now, but I'll be Eleanor Caruso one more time if it means ending this. If it means you don't have to do this alone. If it means those 3 other women you saved can finally stop hiding too. Just in time, Lila heard shouting on the other end of the line. Gunfire, screaming, glass shattering. The FBI raid had begun. Isabella, Lila screamed into the phone. The line went dead. Lila ran, not away from the danger, but toward it. She flagged down a cab, threw $300 at the driver, and demanded he take her to Moretti Estate. Lady, that area is a crime scene right now. FBI everywhere. I know. Just drive. The scene when she arrived was chaotic. FBI vehicles blocked the gates, helicopters circled overhead, and armed agents swarmed the property. Lila pushed through the crowd of onlookers, showing the fake FBI consultant badge she'd found in Isabella's go-bag, praying no one looked too closely. I'm with the Witness Protection Unit, she lied to the agent at the perimeter. I need to verify the identity of the informant. The agent looked skeptical, but radioed it in. Precious seconds ticked by. Then someone must have confirmed something because he stepped aside. Main hall, but don't touch anything. Inside the estate, she found Isabella in the main hall, surrounded by agents, blood on her white shirt from a grazed shoulder, her hands in zip-tie cuffs. Their eyes met across the chaos. Isabella's expression shifted from shock to fury to resignation. An FBI agent approached Lila. Ma'am, you can't be here. This is an active crime scene. My name is Eleanor Caruso, Lila said clearly, loudly enough that every agent in the room turned to stare. I'm the witness you've been looking for. The daughter of the woman who saw Vincent Moretti ordered the execution of federal prosecutor Raymond Davidson 12 years ago. I'm Elena, the one who died in a fire but didn't actually die. The agent's eyes widened. He spoke rapidly into his radio, and within seconds, the room erupted into controlled chaos. Through the crowd, Lila kept her eyes on Isabella, who was signing frantically despite the restraints. What did you do? You were supposed to run. You were supposed to be safe. Lila signed back, her movements clear and deliberate for everyone to see, even though only Isabella understood. You don't get to be the only hero. You saved me once. Now it's my turn. They were separated then, taken to different vehicles, and then to different interrogation rooms, but not before Isabella signed one last statement. Lorenzo was shot. He escaped the FBI. They're searching, but won't find him. He is at the warehouse. Lila nodded understandably. The news broke within hours. Every channel covered it. The fall of the Moretti Empire. Lorenzo Moretti missing and declared wanted. Isabella Moretti, stepmother of the crime boss, turning state's witness, and the miraculous return of Eleanor Caruso, the girl who died but didn't, the witness who would finally bring justice for a murdered federal prosecutor. 4 hours later, Lila was released to go home, but she didn't. She went to the warehouse, and Isabella was right. Lorenzo laid flat on the floor, bleeding out on a bullet wound. He tried to stand. Lorenzo Moretti. Not so powerful now, are you? She mocked. She attacked her, but he was weak. His knees almost gave out as he staggered forward. Lila wasn't as weak as he'd expected. She had trained in jiu-jitsu and had fighting experience. With one move, she slammed him to the floor and spun him back up like a rag doll. His eyes widened, shock and pain mixed. She caught his neck and pinned him to the wall. His jaw clenched fiercely as she sneered into his face. I could kill you now if I wanted, and no one would know what happened. Or I could call the FBI and see you locked behind bars forever. He didn't speak, couldn't fight. She dipped a finger into his bullet wound and he screamed out in pain. "That's for making me leave my life all this time, hiding from an unknown enemy." His knees gave out and he fell flat on his butts. This time, something creeped into his eyes, and it wasn't dominance or control. It was fear. For the first time. "Lila," he called amidst pain. "Please, I'm sorry," he begged. She gasped. Her eyes met his. "I'm sorry, Lila. There's a lot you don't understand. I was a victim too," he said. She stood in silence. "What?" "He's alive. My father is alive. The world thinks he is dead, but he is alive. Play, believe me." She picked him up violently and slammed him against the wall, and he cried out. Before he uttered a word, she grabbed him and forced his face up. "If you lie to me, I'll make your death slow and painful. Don't mess with me. I swear." "He is," she rasped, choking on her firm grip. "Where is he?" she snarled, eye to his face. No comment. "I said, where is he?" she asked, but his head dropped and he passed out. Hours later, he opened his eyes and she was standing above him. She had removed the bullets and stitched his wound. "You saved me," he said. She came forward and bent close to him. She could feel his breath on her face as she pulled his shirt. "Leave this city and never come back. If you ever show up here again, I'll kill you myself." But inside, she said otherwise. Something has snapped inside. "Thank you," he mumbled. She walked out of the warehouse, leaving him, and he couldn't take his eyes away from her. She could kill him, but instead, she had chosen to save him. But why? 37 members of Lorenzo's organization were taken into custody. The FBI called it the biggest organized crime bust in a decade. But for Lila, sitting in a safe house under federal protection, none of that mattered as much as the single text message that came through on her new phone 2 days later. From Isabella. "I'm so angry with you." Lila smiled through her tears and texted back. "I learned from the best." A second message. "You threw away your freedom to save me." Lila typed carefully. "You gave me freedom 12 years ago. This is just me deciding what to do with it." Third message. "We're both testifying in 3 months. Face to face, hopefully they catch Lorenzo before then." Fourth message. "Did you find Lorenzo in the warehouse?" Lila stopped. She looked out the window of the safe house at the marshals posted outside, at the new life being constructed around her like a cage made of protection. Then she lied. "No, but you were right. I got here late. I only saw blood, but he was gone." Isabella's response came immediately. "No problem. We'll testify anyway. Together." "Together," Lila confirmed. The trial date was set for 3 months out. Both Isabella and Lila would testify to the crime of the cartel and the Moretti father and son. The day came faster than they expected. Testimony was collected. The world watched. Lorenzo Moretti was declared the most wanted man in the country, but he was long gone. Lila and Isabella sat in silence for a moment. Outside of the new house, the FBI provided them. Finally, Lila signed, "Why did you really save me?" The truth. Isabella's hands moved slowly, carefully. "Because I saw myself in you. A child trapped in a burning house, screaming for someone to care. And I couldn't save myself at 8 years old, but I could save you." "And the other 3 women?" "The same. Different fires. Same scream." Lila reached across the table, breaking protocol, and took Isabella's hands in hers. The marshals tensed, but neither woman pulled away. "Thank you," Lila signed with her fingers against Isabella's palm. a private conversation within a conversation, forgiving me 12 years I wasn't supposed to have. Isabella signed back the same way. Thank you for coming back, for not letting me face this alone, for being braver than I ever was. And she took Lila's hand, squeezed it once. We're finally free, she signed. They both laughed. But somewhere out there, Lorenzo Moretti was living, hiding. Scheming for his return would be dangerous, and there would be no forgiveness. If this story moved you, if you're invested in seeing Lila and Isabella survive the Lorenz father, and so please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We'll be following Lila and Isabella's journey as we prepare for the return of Lorenzo Moretti. Comment below and let us know what part of this story shocked you the most. Was it the moment Isabella first signed to Lila? Lila's decision to come back during the FBI raid, or Lila's decision to spare Lorenzo's life? Your engagement keeps these stories coming, and we love hearing from you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next chapter of this incredible saga.